What if when you were dating, you could have what you felt like were a set of tools that allowed you to cut through all the uncertainty? Maybe you've experienced when you're dating, it feels like you're walking through this minefield of uncertainty, this like mixed signals and wondering and what's going on, where you're thinking, what the heck am I doing? Feels like you're trying to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded. Well, today I'm going to share with you 3 tools that you can use when you're dating that will cut through all of the mind games and instead lead you to genuine connection, which is something that we all want. And the best part is there's 3 specific tools that you can use to create this kind of connection early in the dating process. You see, I believe in tools instead of rules. Because anytime you put a blanket rule on something, there's always an exception to that rule. It's like, oh, don't double text, or he has to pay for the date. Well, depending on the circumstance, that might not be the right move. But when you have a tool, a principle that you can lean on, then it guides you through your whole experience. So the first tool let's unpack is know your boundaries in advance and stick to them. And so here's what I mean. You want to decide in advance what your standards and boundaries are. Why in advance? Because anytime we get into the moment, we get into the mood where we say, well, I'll just see how I feel in the moment and then let things unfold. In that regard, your emotions take over, and they're not always aligned with your higher values. They're not always aligned with the conscious decision for the vision that you have. And so you might be thinking, well, what standards and boundaries are you talking about? Well, one of them is when you're willing to commit to someone and be exclusive, right? How much do they have to demonstrate to you the kind of person they are? How much do they have to demonstrate to you the values that they have? It's so easy in relationships to rush things, to jump into it too fast, to commit, to become exclusive, and advance the person credits just because they've developed a bunch of great qualities in their life, but they haven't actually demonstrated them inside the relationship. And this is where we get burned. We assume that this person is going to be congruent and treat us a certain way and bring a certain level of quality and character to the relationship, only to find out, oh, actually, they had narcissistic behavior tendencies, or they didn't have a good relationship with their word. So when are you going to become exclusive with somebody? The second boundary and standard that you want to decide in advance is around sexual boundaries. When are you going to kiss? When are you going to jump into bed and sleep with this person? Like, what is your standard? What's the quality of the relationship have to be before you'll actually engage in that way? And so instead of saying, well, I'll just wait and see, it's easy to wait and see. And then in the moment, you're just so turned on and you just get swept away and carried away with the moment and do something that you'll ultimately regret. Now, if you want some guidance in this arena, there is no harm. In fact, a best practice is to wait to have sex until you're in a committed, loving relationship with this person. And anytime I say this, there are always people who comment, Matt, I slept with my boyfriend on the very first date, and then we got married. We've been married for 32 years. And while I love that, congratulations, that's amazing, that is a tale told by the victors. Because for every one of those, there's like 10,000 people who had the opposite experience, where they slept together right away and it didn't lead to love. Sex doesn't create the love, right? It's the connection that creates the love. I actually thought of this analogy and I thought it was really descriptive of the process. And imagine there's a table and there's 4 legs on this table. And there's a leg and this table represents the relationship, right? And you want a solid relationship. One of the legs is the sexual connection. Another is the mental connection. Another leg is the emotional connection. And then you've got the spiritual connection. What happens is you're building these connections over time. These legs are getting longer and longer and longer. The table is rising over time. If you jump into bed and you have sex right away, it's like the sexual leg grows 3 feet and you've got little stubs for the mental, emotional, and spiritual connection, and it throws it off balance. There's all kinds of hidden assumptions that happen after people have sex. Like, well, what level of connection should we have? Should we not see other people now? And if you haven't talked about all of this stuff, are we supposed to be exclusive now? Are we supposed to be showing up loving each other now when we're actually just kind of acquaintances? All of these things throw the relationship off balance. Not saying it has to, but it's likely. Instead, when you wait to where you have a really strong emotional, mental, spiritual connection, those 3 legs are strong, the table rises up, it's actually solid. Then the sexual connection comes, oh man, that creates a phenomenal, strong foundation for the relationship. Tool number 1, know your boundaries in advance, regardless of what the other person wants or needs. Or know yourself, know your boundaries in advance, and stick to them. All right, let's unpack tool number 2. Tool number 2 is speak your truth, even if it's unpopular. It's super important as you're forming a relationship that you stay congruent with your values. That if this person invites you to do something and they want you to drive all the way across town an hour, and the truth is that it's like the second date or maybe the first date and you would really want them to come to you, that you voice that. Even if you end up compromising and meeting in the middle, or even if this time through that conversation you say, you know what, based on how the conversation went, I feel good now about driving over to their side of town. You want to speak your truth for a couple of really important reasons. Number 1 is this person will now get to know how you really feel, what your real perspective is. And the second thing is that you honor yourself when you speak your truth. And when that happens, you actually boost your own self-love. You boost your own self-esteem. It's incredibly powerful when you speak your truth. The risk is if you rock the boat. The risk is if the other person doesn't like it. There was a client of mine who was dating this guy. He lived a flight away and they spent months talking and doing FaceTime, and they had this really great connection. And he was like, I want to come down and see you. And she was like, great, I would love for you to come down and see me. And so he was going to fly in 2 weekends away. And she gets on our coaching call and I said, well, where is he staying? And she was like, I don't know. I don't want him to stay with me, but I haven't brought it up because I'm afraid that I'll push him away and we've got this great connection, but maybe I'll just let him stay. And I said, no, you've got to speak your truth. If you don't want him to stay with you because you guys haven't ever been together in the same presence. She wasn't ready to sleep with him yet. She wasn't ready for that level of connection, but she did really like this guy and she wanted to explore things. Speak your truth. Tell him what you're comfortable with. What are your boundaries? And so she mustered up the courage and she had the conversation with him and she said, you know, I know we haven't talked about where you're staying and there might be some assumptions, but I want you to know that while eventually there are going to be a time when I do want you to stay with me. Right now, since this is your first trip down, I would love for you to get a hotel and then we can date that way. Would you be up for that? Would you be willing to do that for me? And he was like, yeah, absolutely, no problem. And while he was a little bit disappointed because there was a part of him that thought, yeah, we're going to stay together, he was totally respectful and totally down and appreciated that she spoke her truth and what would really make her comfortable. Now that relationship went on to progress. They're now dating. They've been dating for 9 months and had tons of great experiences together. But let's rewind that scene and play it back where she doesn't speak her truth. And he comes and he stays and maybe she doesn't hold her boundaries and they sleep together and her whole beingness, could you imagine, her whole beingness is in a different vibe. Her whole beingness is now on guard. She's now got a very different way of being than the kind of beingness that's relaxed, that's open, that's leaning in because she knows that she's honoring herself with her standards and her boundaries. So that's tool number 2. Speak your truth, even if it's unpopular, because when you do, the ultimate result of that is it brings you closer to the right guy. If it doesn't bring you closer, it was not the right guy, and so it clears the way for the wrong guys as well. The third tool that you want to keep with you at all times is to ask the hard questions up front. Now, what are the hard questions? The hard questions are, what does he want in his relationship life? What is his vision for where he sees himself with his love and relationships? I can remember when I was dating my wife, we had dated for maybe, I don't know, a couple months. And keep in mind, we were dating long distance. So I'd maybe gone out with her like 3 times. She was living at home. So I went to her house to pick her up and she warned me. She was like, my dad wants to talk to you before we go out on a date. And I'm like, all right, Mom and I are going to go take a walk a little bit. And I was like, okay. So they walked around the block, leaving me with her dad in the living room. And he's this kind of like real burly kind of guy. And he was like, so Mateo, he's from Mexico. He's like, what are your intentions with my daughter? And I didn't have a good answer because I literally had only been dating her 2 months, right? We'd gone out like 3 times, long distance. And I said, well, I can really appreciate you asking because I'm at a place in my life where I'm really looking for somebody special. I want to ultimately get married and start a family. I don't know if she's that person yet. I mean, we're really early in, but I know that I am looking for that and I want to create that. And he was like, I respect that. And it was great. It was a great conversation. And then we went on. Now, it would be another, whatever it was, 2 years before I proposed. But I knew in that moment that I was on a track of what I wanted in my life. And that's what you want to find out from this guy. You want to know early on, does he see himself in a relationship? Do the vision that both of you have for your love lives align? Whether or not you're each other's person isn't the point. You might not be each other's person, right? But the point is, do you want the same things? Know this. If there's a part of you right now that's like, oh, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to come across desperate, or I don't want to scare off the right guy. Know this. It is really hard to screw up the right thing. You cannot scare off a guy who wants a relationship by asking if he wants a relationship. Who do you scare off? The guy who doesn't want a relationship. In fact, this reminds me, it was a really funny video that I saw of these golfers, and one buddy attached a snake through a string to the back of the other buddy's shirt. And so that guy didn't know, and there was a snake on the ground, this fake plastic snake, and the other buddies looked and kind of moved away, and the guy with it attached to his shirt looked, and as he started to run, the snake started to follow him, and he just took off, scared and running. And I actually got the clip for you. Check this out.
Get the fuck out! Get the fuck out! Get the fuck out! Kerry, it's fake! It's fake! It's fake! It's fake! It's fake!
I thought that was so funny. I hope you enjoyed that. Because here's the thing, that guy's scared of snakes, right? So he's running away. The only guy who's going to run away is the guy who's scared of the relationship question, because he doesn't want a relationship. He just wants to have fun. He just wants to be in the moment and hook up and enjoy himself, right? So half of navigating this dating space faster is saying no to the wrong guys faster. And so that's why you want to have this question early on. When you ask him what is it that he wants for his love life, you want to do it in a space of not that it pertains to you. Not that that you're looking for someone and no matter what he says, you're going to latch on. Your space, your energy is neutral. Your energy is unattached. Your energy is simply curiosity. Because you know what you're creating. You're creating something meaningful. You're creating something beautiful. You're creating a partnership with somebody who's going to be an incredible man for you. And if this guy might become that man, might show up as that man, might grow into that man, or this guy isn't, you're unattached at this point. You're really just in discovery mode. That vibe is so attractive. That vibe is powerful. That vibe is unmistakable, right? What scares a guy off who's actually a good guy is the woman who's just desperate. And it's like, hey, are you normal? And do you breathe air? Because I'm just looking for anyone who's got a heartbeat and clean teeth and breathes air, and we can like partner up. Like that vibe pushes guys away. And I know that's not you, and I'm exaggerating, but you get what I'm saying. Is that vibe of attachment. These 3 tools where you know your boundaries ahead of time, you stick to those boundaries, you speak your truth, even when it's unpopular, and you ask the hard questions up front. This will help you cut through the noise and create genuine connection in the people that you're meeting. My question for you is, what are the tools that you have found work really, really well in navigating the discovery process so that you can find the right person? Go ahead and post any ideas that you have below. I love reading your comments. I'm holding the image of your amazing love life, expanding and thriving every day. I appreciate you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.